Okay, so now we're gonna start writing a few very few basic JavaScript code in here. Okay, and again we'll keep this running as it is here, so we can just refresh it. So JavaScript. In order to use JavaScript, you have to embed your code inside a script tag. Okay, so the script tag can be so the code can be embedded anywhere in the head section, in the body, or in the external file. Okay, so we'll do that and embed it in the body first, so that you see how that works. So to put a JavaScript inside here, let's just say right below this h1 tag. Okay, you just basically type in the word script, and it should enclose it with the closing script tag. Now, this is for HTML5 and ECMAScript 5 and 6 now, because now JavaScript is the default scripting language for most browsers, or all browsers. So you don't have to specify what type of script is it. Okay, in the past, you have to say type is text/JavaScript. Okay. If you want to use a different language in here, you have to specify that in here. But for now, if you just use script, by default, it knows it, it's expecting JavaScript. So to save you some code. So in here, that means that between the closing and opening tag here, I can only put JavaScript tags or syntax. I cannot suddenly say, oh, I want to put h2 in here, right? Okay, it's going to treat h2 as an invalid syntax. So you have syntactic error here, because it's not part of JavaScript code. So just by the same rule as you will apply to a CSS, right? So the CSS, if you put style, again, you don't have to say style, what type is it? It's the default style sheet for web pages in HTML5. So again, you have to specify what type is it, okay? You no longer need to do that. It knows that that's CSS. So in here again, you can't just suddenly put h1 tag in here, right, for CSS. You have this different rule. So you can encapsulate your code inside an HTML document like you see here. I can embed style sheet anywhere in the head section or in the body, which is kind of illegal now. With HTML5, you cannot embed script and style sheet inside your body tag anymore. If you do that, I think it will fail the validator. Okay. You can put inside the inline, which is directly into the tag itself, which is fine. But you should always put your style in the head section or the external file only, right? But with JavaScript, you can put it here in the body. I could put up here in the head section. I can have many styles, and I mean, not should be style. Come on, it knows. It should know how to do that for me. Okay, so I can put a script here. I can put as many places as you want in the document. The only thing is that if I place one in the head section, I place one in the body, and maybe another one inside, above the h1 tag. When you run this application, this web page, this same web page here called index.html, all the JavaScript live in the same space. Okay, just like CSS, just like PHP if you used PHP before, right? So it doesn't matter where I put it. When I run it, the browser renders it, and then it will almost like treat this as a virtual script, and it will collect all your script code, and then they live in the same space. That means if I create a variable up here in line 11, I can access it from here in line 19. Okay, that's what it means. It's in the same space. I just put it in a different place. Where you put your script is also important. Okay, because as you know, web pages, it renders from top to bottom. Okay, so if you put your code, above or below, it depends what you have on the page. If I put a variable down here and I put a color up here, it's not going to get it, right? Because it doesn't exist until line 19. So therefore, if I call that variable in line 11, it won't work. Okay, so just remember that everything renders from top to bottom on the web page. So where you place your code is also important. Okay. Also later on, we'll see that if you want to use JavaScript to manipulate or modify these tags, okay, that's also really important where you place the code. If you place the code up here in the head section, let's say in line 11, to change the h1 tag, And if you do it that way, without another special technique, it's not going to work because the script will only look at any tags that has been rendered before it. Okay, so if you try to change, let's just say line 11, I want to change H1, I want to change the content hello JavaScript to hello world. You can't do that because it looks for H1 tag. Above it, there's no H1 tag, so therefore the system fails or the program fails to do that. So in that case, you have to move your script below the H1 tag so that when you try to change the H1 tag, the H1 has already been rendered on the browser, so the DOM tree already has it, and then it can go back and modify the H1 tag. So it may not make a lot of sense now, but you see later on as we start to code writing code to manipulate the DOM tree. Okay, so where you place is really important. Yes.
Now, what if you had it? I may be jumping ahead, but what if you have it on an external JS file?
Same thing.
Would it be able to look at anywhere within the page, or like?
It's exactly also where you place the external file. If you put it in the top, it's going to inject a code right up here. So in that case, it's not going to find H1. So you still have to put that script down here at the bottom. So you see that some sites, you will see that if you scroll all the way to the bottom of the page, you see a lot of JavaScript text included in the bottom of the page, just because of that for that purpose. Okay. Of course, there's a way to get around that. So sometimes you see that all the scripts actually embedded inside the head area, and that is actually the preferred way to do it. Okay. I should say prefer, but there's a reason why they put code on the bottom. Okay. The reason is because JavaScript, sometimes if you have a really long script, it takes a long time to load. So when that happens, then actually it stalls the web page to load because it has to wait until all the scripts been rendered through, and then when that happens, you have what you would have lost maybe 2 seconds or 3 seconds, and as you know today, right, 2 seconds is like 2 minutes, and people just like, oh, this is so slow, and they just move on to the next site. So when that happens, they put the script right at the very bottom so that when the page loads, the content already displayed while the script is still loading in the background. Okay, that's one reason why they put it on the bottom. But again, there are some ways you can actually do it so that the code will have to wait until the page is loaded, and then it will go back and do that in the background. And that way, you could put the code anywhere. Okay, so we'll go over all those stuff later on when we go into. I think I forgot which chapter where we maybe chapter 5 or so, where we start manipulating the DOM tree. Right. So now, right here, the book in chapter 1 kind of just give you a very simple function to write called write, the write method. So if you remember the note I showed you earlier, that you cannot just put write in here. Okay. So write, for example, should say write hi there. Okay, so this is the syntax for a script. So as you can see, you cannot just put right here. Remember I showed you the window, right, and then the document, right? So to write any code on the page here, you have to use the object called document because the document is the object that stores all the HTML tags, and therefore JavaScript lives within right above the the CSS and the HTML. But in order to get into the actual methods or the DOM language or methods, which is part of JavaScript, like the write method, the print method, the alert method, all this stuff, you have to issue a document.write. Okay, so document is the object. I could say over here window dot document dot something. Right, the window is the parent of the root of the page. Okay, so from the parent page, which is the very root of your window, and then from there, because it's the object base, if you remember object, everything is a dot, you use the dot notation. Okay, so a document, so in this case, the write is a function, we call it method in JavaScript, in most other languages it's called method now. So it's a method that is a part of the document object class, or class if you remember Java, kind of like that. And then document is a sub object or object of the window. Okay?
How would you know to start at like document instead of going all the way up to the window?
Yeah, well, right, so the window is the root here. So because the window is already at the root, you see that a lot of JavaScript code, you don't have to say window here. You just start from document.
I mean, is that just something that we just know?
Yeah, you just have, right, you have to just know that document is required when you want to write something to the web page. This is, okay, so what this one does is, this is a function, write, and it will write the words hi there on the screen. And what you see is on the rendered page is really just the text or the phrase hi there. You're not going to see the entire script on the screen. Okay, so if you, let's just say if I save this file now, okay, and if I go back here and refresh my screen, you see that I have the word hi there. Okay, so it writes the text to the web page. Any questions on this? Oh, I don't know. Looks like they're moving some chairs from tables. Yeah. Okay, so this is, you want to write something to the screen, then you use that command. It's just like, if you remember Java, it's like the system out that print, whatever that text is, and you display the text there. Okay. The semicolon here is optional in JavaScript. You don't have to put that there. It's not mandatory, but it's always good to put a semicolon there. Okay, it's not going to render any error because I think most of your languages you'll learn that you usually terminate a statement with a semicolon. So it's always good practice just to put that there, so you know that's the end of that statement. Okay, so that's the write command. There's another one called write line, or ln, and you just say hey, right? If I do that, and if I save, so if you look at write and write lin or write line, what do you think that should do?
It'll write whatever you have in there and give a character return on line B.
Okay. Yeah, that's what you expect, right? Because that's the difference between write and write line. That's the same, or the same use in Java. You have a write and a write line too, right? Or print line. So let's just.
That example will put A right next to I there.
Your example?
That example will put A right next to I there.
Okay.
Because the right will not advance, right?
Mm-hmm. That makes a lot of sense to me, right? Okay, so let's see. So Rich is right? Puts it right there. Okay, so that's good. Now, what if I do this? What if I put that there? What do you think is going to happen now?
2 lines.
2 lines. Okay, so let's save this, and we go and.
It didn't work.
Right, it still didn't do it. And just to make sure, I'll put a new, I'll put something here so we can see, dash, space, and then refresh it, right? Why didn't it break the line? Anybody want to? Yeah, kind of a line break, but remember, this is the HTML page. How do you make a new line? BR, right? Okay? BR. So this command here, it doesn't matter which one you use. If you just want to display content to the web page, you can use either one. Okay? If you want to display text, then you use the write or write line. That's usually if you want to write that to a text file or to a array or some sort like that, right? So that will actually carry the character return. But just to display on the web page, to make that line break, this is a part of the code here. You have to explicitly say, I want to put a line break here. Okay? So now I can include HTML tags inside that method as part of the text. Okay, so you put that there, then now when the HTML renders it, because HTML only reads this part, oh, that's the break tag, it breaks it, and they continue on to the next line. Okay, so let's see if that's correct. Okay, so you can see that it breaks it. So be really careful here. This is the same with PHP, Java, same thing. Everything that you render on the web page has to have HTML tag. Okay, even though if you write this code dynamically, if you read this from a text file, from an array or whatever it is, you have to put the break in there to make it look this way. So you see that you have the text here, you don't see the actual code. However, if you do a right click and you view the source, okay, you'll see that I see the actual code in here, right? Because JavaScript is not hidden behind the engine. It's on the server, it's on the client side. So every code it's written in JavaScript can be seen by the user, by anybody. That's why it's not really secure to put a password here. Okay, you can write a code to make it so that, oh, in order for you to log into this page, you have to put a password protected here and then to log in. But what you might forget is that if you do a source code view, I can see your source code right here. So JavaScript, you can see all the source code on every page, any page. Any page you go to, doesn't matter what site it is, Google, Yahoo, Facebook. If you click on the script, you see all the code. Okay, so people can steal it, you can use it, you can borrow it, doesn't matter. So because it's on the client side, and the browser is the client side, right? That's why we have a client side server language, and I have the server side language. With the server side though, you will not see the actual code here. All you see is just basically the hi there and then the BR. If it's written in PHP, you wouldn't see that there. Okay? So notice that also it's written right below the JavaScript, hello JavaScript text, which makes a lot of sense because we wrote it here, right? Below H1, then the document goes right here. If I move this above it, yeah, then it's going to be on top of that now. Notice I just drag and drop, right? So if you put that there, if I save it, refresh it, okay, now it's on top. So wherever you place this code in this example is important, okay? If you write directly onto the web page like this, then wherever you write it, it's going to be displayed wherever that is, okay? Later on, though, when we do the external file, that's a very different story, because with that, it doesn't matter where I write the code. I can target any tag and then inject that text or that whatever that content is to that area. Okay, so when we get there, we'll see how that works. Okay, so that's how you would write it. Of course, it would not make sense to put that up here. I mean, you can, but I mean, it just doesn't make sense in the head area because in the head it's supposed to be the invisible content, right? You shouldn't write anything there on the head area. But again, of course, if you refresh it, there's no problem, right? The browser is smart enough to render it's still okay. But if you put in the validation, it will fail because it's in the wrong place.
Would it validate? It wouldn't validate?
No, it would not validate. Yeah, you shouldn't put that there. So let's go back down here, and then so you put your code in here. If you want to put the alert, is another very, very common method. The alert method, right? This is one of those built-in methods. It's part of the DOM. So as you can see, it renders from top to bottom. It's going to go from top to bottom, renders this page, look in the script, writes this, writes that, and then it runs this command. The alert is just it forces a pop-up message on the browser, right? So if we save this, and if you go back here and you refresh it, you see the alert message right here, okay? And every time you refresh it, it does all the time because it's there in the code, okay? So that's there. I also want to show, let me just turn this off. To put a comment in the script, we would do the forward slashes, 2 forward slashes to comment it out, right? Similar to Java. Okay, actually it's the same as Java. So 2 slashes to do a single line of comment. If you want to do multi-line, just put a star, and then you close it with the star slash. So I can put a lot of comments in here, and they will not be rendered, and then they will be displayed on the browser. Okay, so that's comment. But I want to show you, yeah.
Does the alert sit in the down?
The alert?
That's why you're calling it that way?
Yes. Mm-hmm. So if I save this and go back here, it shouldn't send the alert anymore, right? Hey, Andrew. So now, on this page, if you are using Chrome, or if you use Firefox, it doesn't matter which one. If you press on the F12 key, okay, the F12 key will bring you this browser tools or developer tools.
Which key is that?
F12, the function key F12. It will bring this this tool here, and Chrome you can IE2 I'm pretty sure, and also on Firefox you can dock this around you know, on the bottom, on the right side like this, or you can have it floating around. It doesn't matter. Okay, you can have different options here. So I'm going to put it right below it. Okay, and this is where you have the actual view, right, of your page, the result, the output. In here you have a lot of tags up here. So by default the elements is selected, and what you see here is actually the source code of your page, right? The source code, as you can see, and this is what we would call it the DOM tree, okay, the document object model. Everything you see here is an object. Okay, so the head tag, the body tag, H1 tag, the script, the document right, even these comments here, the actual text itself is all object. Okay, so it's a object-based language. So a web page is full of objects. Everything you see there is an object. Okay, so this is the elements on the right side. You see the style sheet that is applied. In this case, we didn't, supply any CSS to it, but you see there's a lot of them already applied there. And then here is these CSS model, right? These are supplied by the browser. So the browser has its own default style sheet, as you can see there. You can override it. So when you create your own style sheet, this is going to override the CSS of the default style sheet. Now, if you are using Chrome, if you press the escape key while you're in here, down here, press the escape key, you see another window shows up called the console window. Okay, this one here, so that you can see both. You can see a lot of stuff like, the DOM tree, style rules, the actual output, and then the console. Because the console, this is where you actually write JavaScript code to interact with the page. Okay, if you do that here, or if you press the console, then you only see the console. You don't see the other ones. You have to switch back and forth, but however you choose to do it, it's completely fine. So if you get the console here, right on this page, you can actually write JavaScript code and run it. It's not permanent. It's just only temporary on this page here. So if you want to practice what's going on, or if you want to interact with the web page here, you can do from here. So for example, I can just go and type alert hi, right? As soon as I hit enter, it runs it. You see the alert box right there. Okay. So it runs right there. And so this is a tool that we'll revisit this again. We'll use this a lot in this class, and we'll revisit this again in chapter 4 when we do debugging. We'll debug our code. So I can write a load there. I can do. Only thing I can't do here is but it's not really efficient. Is like the document write we just saw earlier, because when you write something, expect to write something to a web page, and here we're not doing that. Okay, but I can write functions in here. I can do variable names, and we'll learn that later as well. So, for example, I can say, var x is 12. Okay, and then if I want to print out x, I can say alert x, and then it will give me 12, right? So you can see it runs everything here on the browser. You can do all this stuff on the browser, and we'll do this again in future sessions. But I just want to show you what this is. The console is, it comes with all web browsers today, i.e. Firefox has it, every browser has one. Okay? Just a really quick way to interact with your web page. And next time I'll show you how you can actually use this screen here to manipulate data here. You can see it live. If you like that, it works great, then just copy this code and put into your actual code, right? Really pretty slick. Okay, I think we're out of time here, so I'll stop here, and then